Welcome into the Rocc Pod, presented by the Royal Oak, Michigan Chamber of Commerce. I am John Gay from Jag and Detroit Podcasts.
I am Lisa Bibby, your local realtor with Keller Williams Advantage.
Excited today because we are joined by one of our newer members of the Royal Oak Chamber. That is Anton Babushkin from Start My Wellness. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
A lot to get into today, and really, it is such a great thing that mental health is no longer as taboo as it was in previous generations. We're going to really dive in with you today. Well, let's start by asking you this. Mental health, it's confusing, it's daunting to talk about. How do we make it, as you put it, customer friendly?
First of all, we're trying to understand mental health is like a range of different things. It could range from somebody who has anxiety or depression and needs treatment, but maybe is able to kind of function day to day. It could be a more severe form of challenges that might require potentially hospitalization or maybe some kind of, ongoing medical monitoring. So there's like a big umbrella of what mental health means. And in today's world, we also have mental health as kind of like a wellness thing. Like now people talk about mental health days or work-life balance as a lifestyle, as a way of taking care of oneself. What used to be maybe one thing now encompasses like a broad range of topics. And so probably the starting point is trying to, for the end user, the person in the world today, to try to think about, okay, this is a big category and there's a lot to it, to try to make it less scary, less confusing and more clear about what's it all about and where do I fit in and how can that potentially help my life?
I am so excited to see that people are actually talking about their feelings and mental health. I mean, we grew up in a society where men were not supposed to show feelings. They weren't supposed to cry.
For sure.
And I mean, it's wreaked havoc on this world. So now that we're able to really put that at the forefront, I just absolutely love the changes that I'm seeing.
For sure.
Let me ask you a follow-up. With Start My Wellness, you're working with patients, customers, clinicians. Who is it that you're working with directly, and how's the business set up?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'm a therapist myself with about 15 years of experience. And 8 years ago, I started this company. So our specialty is essentially we take healthcare providers like mental health therapists, psychiatric nurse practitioners who prescribe medication, people who do psychological testing, and we help them be successful from a business kind of financial customer service point of view. So there are people out there who are mental health providers who are saying, I'd like to help more patients, or I'd like to do more work, or I'd like to have more customers, if you will. And there are people in the community who are saying, well, how do I find the right therapist or the right provider, or what medication, or how do I navigate this whole thing? We help those two parties come together and we help the transaction be as easy as possible. So that's the business that we're in. We link the customer on the street, if you will, who's saying, hey, I want to kind of improve some aspects of my health or my mental health, with the medical or healthcare provider who's saying, I'd like to help people, but I don't always know how to connect with them or how to take care of the insurance or billing aspect or the many other various things that make that transaction, could make it complex. We make it simpler.
So what does a seamless experience look like for your customer?
So let's say the customer is saying, oh, I'd like to find mental health services, but I don't know which kind or where to get them. So if they're hopefully find our website or hear about the brand, they could go online and either, let's say they have an idea, they say, I really want therapy and I have an idea of what kind of therapist I want to see. Okay, that's an easy category. They go through the website, they use it as a directory, they pick who they want and they click a few buttons and we help them schedule the appointment and take care of their billing stuff. Option two, let's say the person says, I need help, but I don't know what I'm looking for. I just know something doesn't seem right. Mm-hmm. They can either get in touch with us through the website or a phone number, and then we help to guide them through that process. Or maybe there's step three. Let's say some things they're clear about and some things they don't know about. We can help them get access to what's called psychological testing. Let's say the person is saying, well, I don't know if I have anxiety or ADHD. I kind of can't focus, but what's causing that? We can help them connect with somebody who can do like a battery of tests that helps them figure out what's actually wrong and what services would probably be a best fit for me, so that they're not just kind of fumbling around saying, I'll just try one and then the other. They have kind of more of a game plan. So there's sort of various approaches, but we try to capture each one of those customer points to say, okay, if you know exactly what you want, exactly what you're looking for, it's almost like a Google search. You could use our system to kind of guide your own way. If you're kind of halfway there and some things you know and some things are unclear to you, we could either guide you on the phone or through the website process. Or if you're at point three and you're saying, I have no idea where to start, we can go even further and kind of help you brainstorm from there. Does that make sense? It depends on where the person enters the system.
I think that's fascinating that you're helping patients figure out what their needs are, but then also pairing them up with therapists. You hear a lot of times, oh, I'm trying to find a therapist, but everybody's so backed up. I think this is such a complicated field that it's great that you're helping folks navigate the system. And, to Lisa's point earlier about growing up in a generation where it wasn't talked about, I have anxiety. I've been on medication for anxiety since 2014 or 15, and it changed my life. It really is something that if you're struggling with something, whether it's a chemical imbalance in your brain or whatever the definition is.
Right. That's a great point. So the way I got into the industry myself is when I was in college, I felt kind of lost and sort of unsure of what am I even doing here? Or do I even have any abilities? Through a recommendation of a friend, I ended up seeing a therapist who helped me to kind of piece together what my own challenges were. And it made me realize wow, this was not even something that I ever was even on my roadmap or that I ever really understood was an option. So it helped me kind of get into the industry. But then once you're in the industry itself, you see that there are many difficulties of connection points. The therapists or the healthcare providers, they're not necessarily marketers, right? They're not going to grad school saying, how do I get my name in front of the customer? That's a whole separate category. So we help them better make their availability better known so that when the person's saying everybody's backed up, who actually has openings, that's kind of easier to find. And then we help the patient or the person to say, wow, there are actually good options available that I could choose from that may help me kind of figure things out. So I think the healthcare system needs a lot of help navigating because of how kind of complex mental health is complex, and so is our healthcare system. So we serve as a sort of decomplexifier, if you will.
I like that word. Okay, yeah.
You mentioned finding the right doctor and, taking the correct medicine that's going to help you heal. Do you work with any holistic doctors who work on an herbal basis? Because I know me personally, I want to turn to herbs in a natural way just for my overall healing.
Right. It's a great question. So first of all, I would say that the decision about taking medication is always the patient's decision or the parents if it's a child. We're a service company. So we're not even the healthcare provider, but the healthcare provider would never say, you must, you will. They'll make a professional recommendation. But the patient should always know what their choices are, and they should always be thoughtful about what, and they may even pursue several avenues and say, the holistic person said this, the psychiatrist said that. Recently I had a conversation with LMD. It's another business that's, I think, recently joined the chamber. One of their physicians is an integrative health kind of holistic care physician. So we try to collaborate with different kind of wellness providers in the community and really build relationships with them so that the patient should have as much access and as much choice and informed choice as possible. Too much choice can be overwhelming, but we try to help the person kind of find their way through what am I looking for? Some people like support groups, other people don't. Some people find that exercise helps them in addition to seeing a therapist. Other people, they find meditation, right? So we want to kind of be open-minded, but still not say, hey, we don't have an opinion. The healthcare provider will likely say, at least this is what I recommend, but you want to make your own thoughtful choice. So for sure, medication kind of has pros and cons, and you want to choose whether that's right for you, as long as you're kind of have some help with the choice. The people who are kind of part of my current system, they're all kind of like traditional Western medicine, if you will. But for sure, we collaborate with other physician groups and doctors in the community. If the person wants a different kind of referral, we can help them with that as well, of course. I would add, though, one comment here, which is the company helps with these professional services for mental health providers, which includes therapy, medication, psychological testing. But the range of things that people look for in terms of wellness, emotional wellness, is very broad. And so over time, for example, there are a lot of people who come now looking for ADHD assessments, right? Let's say they're diagnosed with ADHD. They say, well, what if I need a coach to help me kind of know how I function in the world, what might help me? So we want to, over time, expand the roster of those connecting points. We kind of want to make a range of options available as we grow and as we connect with more high qualified people. We want to say, okay, well, here's kind of a menu of options. You could choose from any of them. It's up to the patient. We don't control that. We facilitate those connections.
Got it. Anton, the two barriers to accessing mental health seem, one, to be stigma, which we've talked about earlier, and the second part of it is probably cost.
Sure.
What are we doing about the cost of mental health? How does it work? How do we make this more manageable so that folks can have better access?
First of all, I think one of the most important points here is transparency and visibility. And there's some sort of new laws that are put out by our government in terms of healthcare, but essentially what we do is we try to very much day one at the very beginning with any interaction with any potential customer, we try to say, this is the estimated cost. In other words, try to be realistic, because what you don't want the person to do is to be a month down the road, 2 months down the road and say, oh, I didn't know, or I didn't expect. That information is not always, we get it from the insurance companies, for example. So it's not always 100% up to date. Depends on what we can get access to, but we try to be very, very clear about this is exactly what the plan. And if the person says, okay, that's reasonable and I can do that, we facilitate the transaction. If they say that's completely not an option, we try to refer them to like a community clinic or some other option that may be more affordable or may provide, free service or reduced fee services. So we try to, point one being, we try to be extremely transparent about exactly what them connecting with, a given provider is going to look like from a cost perspective. The second thing we try to do is we want to make the costs and the transactions very simple. Just think about your experience of requesting like a ride share, like a Uber or Lyft to get somewhere, and how the financial part happens in the background compared to what it's like to go to a medical office. When you go to a medical office, you fill out 1,000 paper forms, you wait in some kind of waiting room. It's very customer unfriendly. I mean, okay, these are doctors who are busy doing things, so I don't blame them, but the customer experience is not necessarily very enjoyable. So we try to make that experience of how they pay, how it happens, how easy it is to do all that, much more customer centric, so that they can kind of primarily focus on, okay, this is the provider I want to work with. This is how the payment's going to work. And now I can focus primarily on the session or the appointment and what I do after and my follow-ups, so that the rest is kind of running in the background more seamlessly. That's our ultimate objective, is a kind of seamless experience where the focus can be on the relationship between the provider and the patient, and hopefully the patient's progress, the person's progress, and their kind of increasing wellness. That's our ultimate goal.
Nice. So you had mentioned meeting with other chamber members, and you are a new chamber member, so welcome. What is your first impression of the Royal Oak Chamber?
Oh my gosh, there's so many friendly people. My office used to be in Troy. I had spent maybe 7 years of being in business in Troy, and it was nice. I mean, the Troy community is good. I had a lot of good relationships there, but eventually we decided that Ferndale would be a better location in terms of more central. A lot of the people that use our services are young professionals. So that's kind of like, we're sort of in the young professional kind of neighborhood, and families. That's also kind of Royal Oak is kind of a big area for families. So we recently moved to Ferndale, end of 21, beginning of 22. And I just joined the chamber because we basically had been kind of like burying our heads trying to get the new space set up and helping everybody get situated. And then at the end of the year, we thought like, wow, we've interacted with people we know in the community, but we haven't really reached out to like other community members who might be great contacts and collaborators. And so I joined the chamber. I went to this like coffee event. It was a lot of fun. And my experience so far is that Royal Oak, I think, is a somewhat more, feels to me like a very community-driven place. A lot of kind of small, medium-sized companies and businesses that are all looking to help and advance and grow. You know what I mean? So far, it's been great. And I think the chamber has been really helpful to help me kind of steer me in the right direction of which things to pursue and to do. So I'm loving it. I'm having a great time.
We all love Royal Oak.
Indeed. We are so glad to hear this, Anton. All right, it is now time for our fishbowl question of the day, where we pull a totally random question to ask you. Lisa, can you please pull today's fishbowl question of the day?
All right, get ready, Anton. This is going to be a good one.
Sounds good.
What was your biggest moment in 2022?
Wow. I can't remember anything. Last year, I had moved to this new building in Ferndale.
There you go.
Essentially, I had to learn how to sort of manage a building and what to do with it from scratch. I had never managed a professional building. I had never worked contract. I mean, I had a contractor maybe come to do something in my house maybe, but this was like a whole new landscape. A lot of fun learning. I got to go on the roof of the building. I took a picture to kind of celebrate the move. So there's a lot of really cool, and then I finally got to see some of the colleagues in person. We had recruited so many providers online and met so many people like through virtual interviews. In 2022, at the beginning of the year, I believe at some point where like the case numbers were dialing down, I finally started meeting some of these people in person for the first time in like 2 years. It was like a really interesting experience.
Very quickly, Anton, let me ask you, what do you do for fun? Tell me something about your personal life.
Okay, I love playing tennis. So during the pandemic, I used to do a lot of salsa dancing. That was like kind of my outlet for a long time. But then I felt like I was sort of, I don't know, had played out those skills, I guess. And so I got into tennis. Now I play tennis like 4 or 5 days a week. So that's like a lot of my friends into the tennis world now. And my girlfriend is starting to play tennis too. Hopefully not because I'm nudging her in that direction, but because she's actually interested. I don't know, but we'll see. So that's like my getaway, because obviously work and professional life can be challenging and it has all kinds of ups and downs. So tennis to me is like a way to sort of do something and disconnect and do something completely different that's more physical in nature, not so, sitting in one place.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for being on our show today, Anton. And how can people get in touch with you if they want to find you?
Thanks. The website is startmywellness.com. So that's the name of the company, Start My Wellness. We also have a main number, which is 248-514-4955, 248-514-4955. Those are the best ways. We're trying to be as accessible as possible. We're also like on social media and, respond to emails, but those are like the best ways to get in touch. And I mean, this is such a fun podcast. It's just a very pleasant surprise to kind of even have this opportunity. It's a lot of fun to talk with both of you. And I appreciate, it's just a nice opportunity.
Well, thank you. And keep in mind, everybody, all of his contact information as well as ours will be in the show notes. So feel free to read down there if you didn't catch all the information. My name is Lisa Bibby, and I'm a realtor with Keller Williams Advantage. I put the real back in realtor. It's a new year, and if you're looking to sell your house before all the competition, give me a call for a free consultation. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Sold by Lisa B.
I'll mention our third co-host, Trish Carruth, can't be here today because she has a brand new location for her store, so we'll hear her plug pre-recorded.
I'm Trish Carruth, third-generation jeweler and owner of Your Personal Jeweler. I specialize in creating custom engagement, wedding rings, and fine jewelry. You can check out our new showroom on 4th and Washington. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at The Personal Jeweler or our website, www.thepersonaljeweler.com.
Thank you, virtual Trish. I am John Gay from Jag in Detroit Podcast. I am the podcast guy. If you like the way this show sounds, want me to help create a podcast for you, your business, and you can do it from the comfort of your own office. You don't need a studio. You can find me online at jagindetroit.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Rocc Pod, produced for the Royal Oak, Michigan Chamber of Commerce. For more information about chamber events or how to get involved, visit royaloakchamber.com. Thanks, everyone.